Good afternoon, everybody. As Mark mentioned, my name is John Southcombe. I've actually been up Kilimanjaro. That happened not so long back. I come from Wales, so it's the second accent you're going to hear from over the Severn Bridge today. There will be absolutely no reference to sporting events. I've been in this industry now around about 30 years, around the IT industry, and I started off my career actually where you people were now in the audience, and looking at solutions that had to drive business forward. Before I moved to the dark side and moved into a vendor a role and a complete shift around about 15 years ago. So for the last 15 years, I've been looking at the whole area of customer communications management and how organizations can help, how we can help organizations actually move their communications management flows forward. The hobbies are there as well down the bottom with the mountain climbing on the end. So when I was asked to actually present to you today, I kind of thought about this, and my wife works for one of the banks out there. She's a counter manager, and I said to her, I said, look, they're not going to want to listen to a vendor standing up there telling them about solutions and trying to sell to them. So, give me some insight into what your experiences are, in the business you're in. So she shared some stuff with me, and then what I decided was I got together a group of my friends. I set up my own little focus group. Okay, we all sat around the table one evening, and pretty much I said to them, what's your experience with the financial services sector, with the banks and the insurance companies you deal with? And the first thing they said is probably exactly what you've just heard as well. Why do they send us so much stuff? Why is it all coming through the mail? And why am I getting 3, 4, 5 envelopes dropping on my doormat every month from the same company? Do they know who I am as a customer? Okay, and and to give an example of that as well, one of my other friends then said, yeah, he said, I've got our family, my wife, my son, my daughter, and myself. We all have our motor insurance with the same provider, and pretty much what he said was that we get 4 envelopes coming through the door when our renewals are due. We don't have multi-car. We've got our own policies. But we all get the same terms and conditions in a pack. We understand that through regulatory reasons, they have to send us, obviously, the renewal policies, but all the other stuff that comes with it, why can't we just go online and get that? Because that must be costing a lot of money to actually post it and to actually create it in the first place. Then one of my other friends said to me, well, why don't they treat me like a person, not a number? Okay, a lot of the times that when we talk to organisations and we call up an organisation through the customer service department, it could be that they can deal with the initial call that you have, but then you get moved around the organisation and moved around the call centre to a different person or a different number. So treat me like a person, not a number, was something that they actually talk about. And then let me deal with an agent or go online with the same results. So again, consistency of message across the different channels was something that they actually talked about. But it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be like that at all. And I know a number of things that we certainly look at in Pitney Bowes is we did a survey out to 250 CMOs in the industry across the UK, France and Germany. And there were some interesting statistics that come back from that. And out of them all, only 8% of those provided an integrated cross-channel communication experience based on the choice and preference of the customer. So there are reasons why that were put up on the board a little bit earlier on in terms of the challenges that some organizations have of moving people to the digital channel. And what I'll talk through now is some of the areas where we are actually helping with that. So as part of this survey, we also went out to the market. Okay, and we asked the different markets out there, what is it from a consumer perspective and from an insurance perspective that, what are your customers saying to you? What are the analysts saying out there? And what is the industry saying? And pretty much the message was the same thing. Okay, the customer and customer centricity is something that is key across the whole area. And putting the customer in the middle of that is key from a Pitney Bowes perspective as well. So when we look at the life cycle of the customer, you know, we look at how we grow and acquire. So we acquire customers first, and then we can actually serve those customers as well, and then renew as we go through that process. And one of the experiences that one of my other friends had was that he said, yeah, when I went to actually renew my policy with that organization, they pretty much didn't give me a very good experience around that. They didn't know much about me as a person, and they didn't know much about the rest of my household, because we had 4 policies with them. And because of the experience that I had as a person, then all of a sudden there were 4 different policies that they then had a challenge to actually renew, not just the one. So the whole of the entire cycle, from acquiring, serving, renewing, growing, and sometimes winning back customers, is key across the whole of this customer lifecycle value. Okay, so when we look at the different areas, Pitney Bowes, as an organization, we see that there are 4 key competencies required to create a consistent cross-channel communication strategy. And up on the board, you'll see it's all about understanding your customers, optimizing every interaction you have with that customer, how you engage with them, and how you do that across the multiple channels as well, and doing that in a consistent format. So when we look at the understanding of the customer, the proliferation of data that's been in the marketplace over the last couple of decades has been massive. I think big data is something that is a key message that's coming out from the analysts at the moment. And what they are saying is that not just from big system data, but from the number of business environments and business solutions that are out there across an enterprise, pulling that data into one place is an absolutely key function for driving consistent messaging across all your communication channels. And it's not just pulling that data together. What happens if the name and address is wrong on that data? What happens if you're actually communicating somebody and you spelt it wrong? So the cleanliness, the accuracy of that data is also key in terms of actually when you're creating a multi-channel, consistent communications to your customers. But it's not just the data that you hold inside as well. There's demographic data that you can actually bring into play here as well. Okay, there's a raft of information that can be brought in from a demographic perspective, and also location intelligent data can be used into the mixture as well, and certainly in the insurance space as well. You know, we can bring that into the whole risk management areas as well to drive sort of risk management around the data consolidation. So when you start looking at customers, you can actually see them in a 360-degree view. So you can see everything about that customer as opposed to just individual, departmental, siloed information. So when you've got that data, you've cleansed it, it's accurate, you've got it where you want it to be, how do you start using that information? Well, obviously every interaction is an opportunity. Okay? And how we optimize that opportunity is key to the whole piece. So when you look at customer segmentation and targeting through the communications, be that electronic or physical, you know, how you actually target and segment that data can be key to the information you're sending out to that individual. You can also build patterns and trends from the data as well. Propensity to churn. Yeah, propensity to buy and purchase new products from you. All of this information can then be used not just on the outbound channel, but on the inbound channel as well. So if you have somebody coming into your call center, and that call center agent knows what the very best next action is for that customer, okay, they can actually start using the inbound channel as a marketing tool and a market environment for you as well. I was actually talking to one of the analysts about this, and what he said was he shared with me some insight from one of the customers that he dealt with, and they shared a story with him that said that they had a customer call into their call center and didn't have a very good experience during that call and that conversation, purely because the call center agent wasn't aware of the next best action for that particular customer. Okay? Now, what happened after that was, what wasn't realized was that customer was an author with 300,000 Twitter followers. So I just leave that thought for a moment of thinking about when you're talking and trying to understand what the very best next action is with a customer, be that inbound or outbound, you know, that can be key and have impact across all of your business. The other area as well, obviously, is the area of customer communications and communications management and how you're engaging your customer through those channels as well. It's all about sort of managing and connecting cross-channel. It's all about creating, how you distribute, and how you generate customer satisfaction and, through the communications you send. And obviously, a lot of that is then going to drive your improved operational efficiency and lower costs as well. So if you're only sending out the information that you need to send to a customer, okay, and putting the rest of it online in a consistent manner, then you can actually start driving down your costs for that as well. You can start leveraging your paper print stream. Paper is not going to go away for a long time, okay? It's going to be there for a while. As an organization, Pitney Bowes come from that whole world, but we are transforming our business to bring into play a lot of the more the digital channels now. However, you know, the paper is going to be around for a couple of generations yet, that's for sure. But then you can start leveraging those paper-driven communications with targeted messages and dynamic messaging that is geared toward that particular customer in a one-to-one environment. And then we come to the whole area of delivery. When we talk about sort of delivery and digital migration and moving people to the internet and online was actually talked about earlier, you know, when I think of my son as well as an example here, you know, he says to me, we were talking the other night and I said to him, I sent you an email the other day, Matthew. He said, I don't read email anymore. So there's the whole next generation of workers that are key here. When you look at the proliferation of channels as well now that we have available to communicate through, okay, different generations will actually connect through different channels. So there is an argument out there, even though that, you know, there's, and I wrote these down earlier from the internet, there's 247 billion emails per day sent around the world. Okay? But that next generation of workers, those teenagers, do they read email? So we need to start thinking of where things like app internets come into play and applications on iPads and the iPhones, as was mentioned earlier, of the way we actually connect to those customers. Social networks and social media are also key as well in all of this. And it was kind of interesting that another comment that I saw the other day as well was that one of the other teenagers was asked about MSN. And they said, what's MSN? You know, so this is actually taking us into a new area now of how we need to actually start looking at other areas in terms of social media, of how we actually gather data from there and actually can push data out through that channel as well. And it's all about doing it in a consistent manner. So when we look at that, and it's easy to say, yeah, we can do it consistently, but actually choreographing all of that and bringing it together to create this cross-channel dialogue across all customer touchpoints. When you actually get this right, it starts enabling you to have this two-way dialogue with your customer. Okay? Connecting to the customer experience across all customer touchpoints. Regardless if it's the internet, if it's physical, it's digital, if it's the customer call center and the contact center. But the key thing to all of this is having an orchestration around that and something that actually pulls it all together that you can then go to this cockpit to actually control the orchestration of those communications going out in this consistent manner across all the channels. And the result of that is pretty much improved loyalty. It's getting that one-to-one relationship back with the customer and the organization. And finally, I just wanted to finish up with a slide on Pitney Bowes. And we are a company that is built on trust. We've been in the industry from 1921. Our first customer was Citibank there. But now we've worked with a number of organisations around the world in the financial services and insurance sector to help them and partner with them to drive them through this whole process of customer communication and actually doing that across channels in a consistent manner as well. We are transforming our business, as I mentioned. We do recognise that physical mail is on the decrease, and we have a software division now that helps organisations in the 4 areas I mentioned earlier of data, insight, strategy, and communications delivery. And we are really in a place where we are helping organisations and enabling them to actually build lifetime relationships with their customers. That's all I have. Thank you very much.